Namaskaram. Namaskaram to all of you wherever you are. We are here right now at Bear Butte, Black Hills, Dakota State. The hill or the little mountain that you see behind me is Bear Butte. It is a formation that has happened because of coming up of magma or molten rock and soil, but not really erupting like a volcano. These Black Hills, this region is sacred for the Lakota nation, the Lakota tribe of people. We are in Lakota land right now. Well, the legend goes, I won't go into the detail of how a bear and a water monster like a dragon fought, and in the end, when the bear bled itself to death and the water monster spewed fire and whatever else, and that's how this mountain came up. This is just a bear consolidated in the form of a hill. This is a place where much significance is given to this place by the Native American tribes, particularly Lakota and Cheyenne. The Cheyenne tribes are supposed to have received all their wisdom at Bear Butte. Crazy Horse, one of the most well-known and quite a remarkable leader of the Lakotas, his father received his vision here at the Bear Butte. So we are here at Bear Butte. Well, temperatures have dropped to probably 8. The wind chill is around 5, 6. So if I freeze up halfway, pardon me. Last 24 hours have been extremely windy, over 50-mile winds and gusting at 60, 65. It's been a tough motorcycle ride. Well, but the virus dances on in the world, taking its toll. India is still over 1,000 deaths per day. United States, nearly 1,000. Brazil in the same range. The other countries, the fatalities have dropped, but the infections are still raging. And in many countries like UK and certain European countries, the second wave is coming back. So it is said every 250th person on the planet now is infected with the virus. And World Health Organization making predictions, before the vaccine comes, the global toll, the death toll may be over 2 million. So, the number of infections in the month of September have increased significantly, particularly in India, and most of the cases are coming from 5 states. Nearly 55% is shared by the 5 states which are right now rampantly COVID virus infected. Well, this is a time where most people tend to lower their guard, but this is a time to really shore up personal behaviors. Personal distance from people is quite simple. You don't be in the way of somebody's breath. If you happen to be close in outside atmospheres, you just have to at least turn away. Simple ways to avoid this, because it's largely through the breath that it is happening, the aerosol in the air. Well, it can still get you, but if it's a concentrated amount of population in a room, but essentially, by simply maintaining a certain amount of personal discipline, we could avoid this, and we owe this to ourselves and to the world and to all the people around us that we are not the spreaders. Please make sure that happens. Having said that, there have been various aspects of how different species have come to an end. No, I'm not going to tell you a doomsday theory now, but I'm talking about how different species have come to an end. One important thing that came to my notice here is till about 5,600 years ago, till about 5,600 years ago, that is 3,600 BC, mammoths existed in this part of the world. A mammoth means a large elephant-like creature which is woolly and has very huge tusks. You have seen them, at least in pictures. They existed just 5,600 years ago. I'm talking about in India when there was Mahabharat happening, there was mammoth walking around here. In most of the parts, they became extinct for various other reasons, but at St. Paul's Island off Antarctica, they lived. And they became extinct, not due to lack of food or not due to some other climatic condition, but due to thirst. Because of rising oceans, the salt ingress or the marine ingress happened into the soil and there was no drinking water. So they died of thirst, such massive animals. Not hunger, not natural calamity, but just thirst. This must be a very good lesson for all of us. We've been talking about it for a long time. Constantly I'm talking about it, it looks like I'm saying the same thing, but it's not gotten across to people that in tropical countries, water or lack of water could become a major cause of decimation of populations if we do not take the necessary care. But there is also another flip side to this. Someone, a scientist called John Calhoun, created what is called as Universe 25. This is many years ago, almost 70 years ago. He called this the mice paradise, where substantial amount of food, water in abundance was given to 4 pairs of mice, a large space, disease-free, predation-free, that means no cats around. In some way, it is similar to modern cities. No predators around, no danger anywhere. Because there are no predators around, human beings are turning into predators themselves. There is no other natural causes, so we are creating various artificial causes of death. These 4 pairs of mice, they reproduced and their population grew steadily or rapidly. By 300 days or little more than 300 days, the behavior disparities between males of high and low status I'm talking about mice society, I'm talking about rats. In their society, there are certain mice which are of high status and certain others which are of low status. I'm not talking about men, I'm talking about mice. So, slowly these disparities grew, became more pronounced, and those who were in the bottom pecking order were denied many things. Even the females refused to mate with them, and they became lonely and they started living alone by themselves. And the ones which are in the higher status of society, of the mice society, they started eating more, becoming fatter than they should, and started neglecting their duties of breeding, raising the young ones. And slowly, a younger population which was uncared for became unruly, not socially compatible, started becoming violent, violence without reason, and no exposure to normal, healthy relations among themselves. This created a social disruption. And by the time this reached some 920 days, the population base started diminishing, and then the two death phases occurred. One is the death of purpose, there was no spirit to live, and next is the actual death. And at the end of something like 1,000 days, the entire mice population died. Still food and water was abundant, no predators, everything was safe and good, but this is what happened. Well, this is like the Orwellian Animal Farm, leading to well-being, leading to death and destruction and disruption. In many ways, this is representative of modern societies. This is something we must understand. Unfortunately, most human beings are suffering well-being. When I say they're suffering well-being, this may sound a little insulting to many of you who are living in big cities and you think you're suffering immensely because your subway came 1 minute late, or your taxi comes 3 minutes late, or your internet connection is taking more than 20 seconds. Great sufferings, unbelievable amount of suffering that human beings are going through, because children are going through enormous suffering because Wi-Fi is slow. These are signs of self-destructive mode. Now, this virus has come dancing among us. This is also an indication of how we are living. We think we have a right to exploit every other life. Just not eating for sustenance and nourishment. Well, you have a right to enjoy what you eat, but to the absurd levels we are taking this food. I can't believe that among the young people, cooking shows and food shows are the most popular shows right now. They will never cook in their life, and if they cook, nobody can ever eat, I'm sure. But they are super popular because the fetish of enjoying or taking pleasure from our sustenance is getting to a kind of an unhealthy level. And this could be in many ways diminishing of the human spirit, because then people will naturally eat much more than they should eat. When we clearly know more than 35% of the world's population is not getting enough nourishment. This is amazing right now, the statistics show that over 35% of human population is malnourished, and over 35% of human population is obese. This is a classic case of showing where human beings are, where is our consciousness, what has happened to us. Well, this is the first time in the history of humanity that there is food everywhere, even where it should not be. There is food everywhere, no predators, no dangers. Largely we have controlled natural calamities and things and created homes and dwellings where we are not affected by weather. Even in the US ashram, where it's a absolutely spectacular nature around us, we have to talk a lot to convince people that you should not have air conditioners in your home, you must keep the windows open, you must enjoy the nature, you must feel the cold, you must feel the heat. Because a whole lot of people, unfortunately, are growing up like lab rats, exactly in controlled temperatures. In their car, in their home, in their office, it's all controlled temperature all the time. So, this lack of exposure to nature, this lack of wanting to experience life as it is rather than creating artificial situations all the time which are free of every aspect of what is called as life. As I said here, winds are gusty right now and cold. All our team is sitting here shivering a bit, shriveled up a little bit because they're overworked but overworked and cold. Been on the road for last almost 8 days now. So, this overly protected situation of humanity in many ways could lead to decimation of large populations in the next century or so. This is not some doomsday prediction, it's a natural progression of life happening this way. So it is time that we address our lives little more consciously. This happened. You know, as I said, this is for the very first time that you can go to a store and buy everything you need for the next month or maybe 6 months, store it up in your house, not step out of your house for 6 months and just live there. There is water, there is electricity, there is everything that you need, there is food and everything that you need. You don't have to step out, you don't have to see a sunrise or a sunset or the open sky. This is the first time. So this happened. A young man passed his private PPL, it's called, private pilot's license he got. New pilot, I mean. A new pilot, you know, has certain characteristics. He flies because the airplane is designed to fly, not necessarily of his own skill sometimes. So, a new pilot, and Shankaran Pillai got a desire, he wants to fly. So this pilot said, I will take you. Well, out of some obligation, he got onto this little plane and it flew and then it landed. Well, landings are the most complicated part of flying, but it landed. Threw both the pilot and the passenger all over the plane, but it landed. So Shankaran Pillai, when he was getting off the plane, he said, "Thank you for these 2 rides." The young man asked, "What 2 rides? You had only 1 ride?" He said, "No, I had 2 rides, my first and my last." This is for the very first time that humanity's food is so secure, and never before we were this organized. Please let this not become the last time, because it is important that the work of many generations before us, all that they did for us does not go waste. All the effort that was put in the name of creating civilizations across the world to ensure that future generations live truly well. But our idea of wellness has gone bad. Being here in this Native American land, in this Lakota country right now, it is very eye-opening to see how they were fond of Mother Earth, how they structured their life around that, and how they lived in tune with nature, with absolute passion for everything around them and a certain sense of dispassion about their own life, about their own death. So, I think there is a lot that modern societies need to pick up from ancient societies, because there was a certain cohesiveness with life around them. Without that cohesiveness, everything seems to be problem. Well, this is happening today in a big way. Well, world bodies are going about predicting mental disorder pandemic, suicide pandemic. Just yesterday, a very well-known Japanese actress who was doing well, she just had I think she had a baby just about a year ago, with a reasonably happy marriage and a very successful career, she kills herself. You're hearing this all over. Only when somebody well-known dies, you hear it, but it's happening at a pace that it should not happen. Too many people are taking their own lives. Or too many people have lost sense of purpose. Too many people do not know why they should wake up in the morning. Too many people do not know why they should catch the first sun rays before it hits the blade of grass or a drop of dew on the land. Too many people have forgotten why they should catch the moonbeams before the parijata flowers catch it. They've just forgotten this. It's very important. All of you, you must make this effort. You must catch the sun rays before the lowly grass catches it. It's for you. You must catch the moonbeams before the flowers catch it. Then you will see your life will have a spirit and a fragrance that is… there is no substitute for it, so there is no word for it, what it is. Is there a word to describe what life is? There is no word for it, because it is the most magnificent and the greatest phenomena happening in the entire creation. This is what it is about. The whole process, the spiritual process means just this, that your life, a full-fledged life. So, we are here in the Lakota land, and our team here has been making some effort to pick up something Lakota. So because they could not pick up more complex chants and songs, they picked up a lullaby, not to put you to sleep, but to wake you up to this possibility that you are a full-fledged life, not become a lab rat which is working towards its own destruction,